You ever have those moments that feel too surreal to be part of your own life? Like betrayal didn't barge in loud and messy, it just slipped in quietly, wearing the face of someone you trusted. That night was when everything changed for me. I'm Caleb Morgan, 36 years old, working as a project manager at a mid-level construction company out in Washington. Not flashy, not rich, just dependable. The kind of guy who puts in the work without making a fuss. I was the early riser type, up by 5:40, sipping bitter coffee on the porch while the world was still quiet. My life was structured like a well-laid foundation. Put in the hours, save every extra dime, marry a good woman, and build a family together. I thought I was checking all the right boxes. I was engaged to Jenna. She was 28, worked as an elementary school counselor, and had a heart big enough for everyone. She was the kind of woman who'd pick wildflowers on a walk and stick them in whatever mug was closest. She was all about feelings, horoscopes, and thoughtful, handwritten birthday cards. We had a fall wedding on the calendar, planned to say our vows in the woods, personal and simple, with a playlist full of songs that made us feel understood. At least, I thought that's what we were doing. Should we do the ceremony under the tree or on the patio? She asked me one night, her face glowing in the candlelight. Under the tree, I told her. Feels like the vows would be grounded in something real. I reached across the table and gave her hand a squeeze. She smiled, her eyes full of trust. I love that. You always know just what to say. It was those little moments, the kind that made you feel like you were exactly where you were meant to be. But the thing about life? It doesn't send out a warning when the ground starts shifting beneath you. And then there was my younger brother, Derek. Derek Morgan, 29, gym rat, social media influencer, and self-made personal trainer with a business built on abs and carefully crafted hashtags. He had that loud kind of confidence that filled every room. And to top it off, he was our mom's favorite without question. I remember that family dinner like it happened yesterday. The way Derek looked at me, it was like he was always sizing me up, even when no one was talking. You still doing that 9 to 5 grind, Caleb? He said, pulling a beer from the fridge. Man, you really need to catch up. You should have jumped into fitness. You'd be living easy by now. He flexed in his too-tight shirt, his muscles on full display like he was advertising himself. I leaned back in my chair and just watched him turn on the charm for our mom, that smug grin plastered on his face. And the way she looked at him, beaming like he hung the moon, it hit something deep in my chest. Derek, don't talk down to your brother, Mom said, her voice soft, more of a suggestion than a scolding. It wasn't real discipline, it was just for show. Like she knew she should say something, but didn't mean a word of it. Yeah, but I'm just saying, Derek went on, not even hearing her. If Caleb put his energy into building something instead of working for someone else, maybe he'd be further along. I wanted to snap back. I really did. But I didn't. I swallowed it, like I'd done so many times before. I'd grown numb to it, the way Derek could walk on water in her eyes. And I told myself I was okay with it. I had Jenna. I had stability, a career, a future. That should have been enough. But sitting there at that table, something shifted inside me. Maybe I was done pretending it didn't bother me. Maybe I was tired of always being the dependable one while he soaked up the praise. Anyway, Derek added as he chucked his empty beer into the recycling bin. Hope you guys got everything sorted for the wedding. You know how crazy those days can get. Last thing you want is some drama showing up. His words just sat there in the air. Was it a jab? A hint at something? I couldn't tell. Maybe it didn't even matter. I had Jenna. I had our plan. Or at least, that's what I believed. Our mom, Lorraine, 63, used to work in mortgage consulting. These days, though, she spent most of her time on Facebook, handing out spiritual wisdom like candy and micromanaging our adult lives like it was her full-time job. Her specialty? Delivering compliments that somehow felt like backhanded slaps. Caleb's always been the responsible one. She'd tell people, wine glass in hand. Too responsible? Really? He ought to loosen up. Be more like Derek. She always said it with a little laugh, like it was just a light-hearted joke, but it never was. At first, Jenna thought she was harmless. Your mom's intense, but I think she means well, she'd say. Sure, intense. That's one word for it. But to me, it always felt like her passion was just a cover for never thinking I was enough. Meanwhile, Derek basked in her attention like he was soaking up sun on a beach. Arrogant. Smug. Always convinced the world revolved around him. The kind of guy who'd talk about himself in the third person after a few drinks. Derek doesn't chase, baby. Derek chooses. I wish I were making that up. Even with their nonsense in the background, life was still manageable. Jenna and I still had our little rituals, quiet mornings, midnight takeout, those glances across the room that said, "You're my person." But then, little by little, something started to feel off. Like the rot had already set in, and I just hadn't noticed. It started with something small, Lorraine's weird obsession with Derek's body. One Saturday afternoon, we were all gathered around the table, eating roast chicken Jenna had cooked. Lorraine, a few glasses into the wine, looked at her with that mischievous grin like she was about to share a grand truth. "Have you seen those arms lately?" she said, nodding toward Derek sitting across from us. "Your fiancé works hard." Jenna gave a polite chuckle, but her eyes flicked between Lorraine and me, clearly unsure what to make of it. "Sure," she said, "but Derek's physique, that's real dedication. That's what it looks like when a man sets his priorities straight," Lorraine added with a smirk. Jenna gave another forced laugh, clearly uncomfortable. I didn't laugh at all. Later that night, after everyone had gone, I asked her quietly, "Does she always talk about him like that?" Jenna gave a tight shrug, trying to brush it off. "She's just Lorraine. She likes to push buttons." But it didn't sit right with me. And over the next few days, things started to feel off. Her smiles didn't reach her eyes anymore. Our conversations got shorter, emptier. Every time her phone lit up, she'd glance at it with this strange look, like she was hoping it wasn't me. She'd step out to return calls or catch up with a colleague, but never said who. I didn't want to believe it. Not at first. Not until I saw it for myself. It was a Wednesday. I'd finished a job earlier than usual, rare, and figured I'd swing by Lorraine's place. Jenna was supposed to be there, going over wedding stuff. I parked on the curb, walked up to the porch, and stopped. The window was cracked open, and I heard voices, low, close, too close. "I know Caleb's solid," Jenna was saying, her voice soft but clear. My chest tightened. "But sometimes I feel like I'm just waiting for him to really see me again." The words hit me like a gut punch. "Don't feel guilty," Lorraine's voice answered, smooth and encouraging. "You and Derek make sense. You laugh with him. You come alive around him." I stood there frozen. Couldn't breathe. Couldn't move. Then Jenna said it. A whisper, barely there, but it sliced right through me. "He understands me in ways Caleb never could." I didn't walk in. Not yet. I stood there, just listening, soaking in the betrayal from the woman I loved, and my own mother's twisted encouragement. My whole body was tense. My thoughts were scrambled and loud, but I didn't move. When I finally stepped inside, Lorraine leaned casually in the doorway, looking smug. Jenna looked wrecked, caught somewhere between guilt and desire. She wouldn't even meet my eyes. I didn't yell. I didn't raise my voice. All I said was, "How long?" No one answered. Not at first. So I looked Jenna in the eye and said, "Show me your phone." Her hand hovered over it, shaking, hesitating. And right there, I saw it, the choice she was making. That was all I needed. I didn't scream, didn't lash out. I just turned and walked out. They'd started the fire. Now it was my turn to burn it all down. I didn't sleep that night. Just lay there, staring at the ceiling fan spinning slow, like a countdown to something I couldn't stop. My chest felt hollow and heavy all at once. "Somewhere down the hall," Jenna cried. Not for me. Maybe not even for herself. Just cried. And I didn't move. By sunrise, I packed a bag, not because I was broken, but because I was clear. I needed to move like water, calm, quiet, unstoppable. I left a note on the counter. "You made your choice. Don't text me unless it's about returning the ring." 4 days of silence passed. Then Derek called. I didn't answer. Then came the message. "Let's talk, bro. You don't know the full story." No, I didn't. But I would. My first call wasn't to a friend. It was to Eli Grant, an old client turned investigator who once helped me take down a shady roofing scam. Quiet guy. Sharp. Owed me a favor. "Eli," I said when he answered, "I need you to look into someone." Name: Derek Morgan. "Morgan?" he repeated, recognition in his voice. "Yeah. Business, money trail, social, legal, all of it." Discreetly. "Got it. I'll start tonight." After that, I drove to see my dad, Frank Morgan. The man had turned silence into a survival strategy. He was out on the back porch, sipping whiskey, watching squirrels like they were more reliable than his own kids. "I heard," he said as I walked up. "No sorry. No how are you? Just I heard." I gave him a nod. "And you let Mom do this?" I asked, my voice low and cutting. He let out a long sigh. One of those deep, heavy ones that seemed to come from his bones, not just his lungs. "She's strong-willed," he mumbled. "No." I cut in, my voice sharp. "You're spineless. And she's destructive. She planned this like it was a game. He didn't argue, didn't defend her, didn't even try to say sorry. So I leaned in, made sure he heard me. I want you to know, I'm not staying down. Not this time. That made him look up, really look at me, for the first time in what felt like years. And for a second, I saw something in his tired eyes. Pride. About time, he said. The next week, Jenna officially moved out. I came home to silence. Drawers left half open. A few empty spaces where her plants used to sit. Her scent still clung to the curtains. But I didn't grieve. I documented. Every charge on our joint credit card. Every gift still unpaid. Every single receipt. 3 days later, Eli called. You were right to suspect him, he said. Your brother's a fraud. I sat there quietly, listening as he laid it all out. Derek had built his online image out of smoke and mirrors. His supplement business? Expired products with new labels. Fake testimonials. I hid it from every angle. By the end of the second month, he lost every sponsorship he had. Fitness pages that once hyped his shirtless selfies? Now they were running exposés. Another fake guru messing with people's health. He tried to save face, posted a crying selfie talking about betrayal. But the internet? It eats weakness way faster than it celebrates abs. The comments were brutal. Followers vanished. Then came the IRS. Turns out Derek hadn't paid his self-employment taxes right for 4 years. Fake deductions, false equipment claims. So I packaged every shady transaction and sent it anonymously. They bit. And the news tightened. Meanwhile, Lorraine's name started disappearing from the top realtors' lists. Her firm, Birch & Lane, got hit with a formal complaint for angry clients. One had been overcharged for a property flipped using a contractor she forgot to mention was drowning in lawsuits. Yes, who connected the dots for them? They launched an internal audit. But I didn't stop there. Her polished social media? Manicured listings? Pastel quotes about healing? It started hemorrhaging followers after local gossip pages picked up on her fake reviews and flagged sales. I handed off every bit of evidence Eli found: sock puppet accounts, recycled phrases, inflated testimonials. She even reused the same exact words under different names. Her real estate license? Suspended for 6 months. Image? Shattered. As for Jenna, her fairy tale with Derek? It was cracking. I knew because I had eyes everywhere. A girl named Brooke, part-time receptionist at Derek's gym, messaged me on my burner account. I'd posed as a journalist. They fight a lot, she said. Like, bad. Screaming matches. I saw her crying in the parking lot last week. Good. They deserved every second of it. One night, as rain beat down on my windows, I got a text from a number I didn't recognize. I know it's you, Caleb. Stop hiding. You're destroying my life. Is this really who you are now? I didn't reply. Instead, I posted one anonymous comment under Derek's latest train wreck of an Instagram post. When you steal someone's future, don't be surprised when they steal yours. The next day, Jenna called. For the first time since the split, I answered. I made a mistake, she whispered. No, I said. You made a series of them. I was manipulated, she said. My mom, she twisted things. Told me you'd never be there for me. That you were just like your father. I didn't argue. Didn't flinch. Derek isn't who I thought he was, she added. I chuckled. He never was. You just liked the way he sparkled. Silence. I want to make things right, she said. Not with me, I replied. Just, in general. I don't like what I've become. Then don't become it again, I said. That's all I can offer you. She hung up without saying goodbye. Days later, Derek posted a black square on his feed, claimed he was taking a mental health break. Behind the scenes, he was falling apart. The brand collapsed. Clients vanished. Lawsuits started stacking. And Lorraine? She called me. No one, she snapped. You've taken this too far. I know it's you. People talk. I said nothing. You've destroyed your brother's future. No, I said, calm as ever. You destroyed my present. I just corrected the balance. This family, she hissed, will never forgive you. Good, I replied. That means I finally did something right. Then I blocked her. But it wasn't over. Because after destruction, there's this certain silence. That eerie quiet when even your enemies realize they're standing in rubble. And that's when they start crawling back. First came Derek. He showed up outside my job. Just stood in the parking lot, arms crossed, looking like a man barely holding it together. His eyes were glassy, and he looked smaller, thinner. Nothing like the cocky statue he used to be. Talk to me, he said. You win, okay? You win, just stop. I stared at him. You think this was a game? I asked. No, no. I just. I was stupid. I didn't think it'd go this far. I didn't think she'd. I didn't think Mom would take it there. She told me you didn't care about Jenna anymore, he added. Said you were seeing someone else. I didn't say anything right away. Just stared. And you believed her? I finally asked. He nodded. Then you're dumber than I thought. He stepped closer. I lost everything, he said. You made sure of that. No, I corrected him, steady and cold. I revealed everything. You lit the match. I just handed it to you. He stood there for a second, trembling. Then he turned and walked away. It would have been sad if it wasn't justice. That night, I met up with Claire for drinks. She was one of the engineers I'd worked with, sharp, calm, didn't do drama, didn't waste time with small talk either. She liked whiskey, hated circles, and carried herself like someone who'd seen storms and still stood tall. We talked about architecture, about the ocean, about what it means to walk away from people who expect you to stay broken. I used to think I was weak for leaving my ex, she said. No, I told her. You were strong enough to rebuild. That's not weakness. By the end of that night, I realized something. I didn't want revenge anymore. I wanted peace. But I also knew that real peace doesn't show up with silence. It shows up after the storm clears. For months had passed since everything started unraveling. And now, every lie they'd built their world on had turned to rubble. Derek wasn't just hurting. He was broke. Literally. His bank accounts were frozen. His gym, his so-called temple, was padlocked, plastered with red warning signs. Lawsuits covered his desk like unpaid parking tickets. The expired supplement scandal had blown up online. His name was everywhere on Reddit fitness forums for all the wrong reasons. Lorraine? She was stripped of her license, her credibility in shambles. Now she spent her days tweeting cryptic quotes about toxic sons and betrayals from within. Her brokerage firm? They were scrambling to distance themselves from her like she was radioactive. And Jenna? Still technically with Derek, but barely. The curated couple photos stopped. Her sunshine captions dried up. A mutual friend, someone from her college days, told me she was job hunting in another city. She doesn't talk about him anymore, the friend said. Just about mistakes. But I wasn't watching them because I was obsessed. I was watching because I was almost done. There was one last card to play. And it wasn't fire this time, it was exposure. Because here's the thing, none of them were actually sorry. They weren't ashamed of what they did. Just sorry they got caught. And there's a big difference. So I gathered everything. Every detail. Flirty texts between Derek and Jenna, sent while we were still engaged. Photos of Derek's repackaging setup. Lorraine's sock puppet reviews. Audio clips of her urging Jenna to get closer to Derek under the pretense of finding her true feelings. Legal filings. Complaint IDs. Fake testimonials traced right back to her IP address. I put it all in a Google Drive folder. Labeled it. This is what happens when you betray blood. I didn't post it on my socials. Didn't even hint at it. I sent it to one person. A mid-tier YouTuber in Seattle named Respin. She had a channel that specialized in fake gurus, influencer scams, and fraud in the wellness industry. She loved busting liars. Within 24 hours, she uploaded a video. The shocking truth behind Morgan Fuel and real estate queen Lorraine Morgan exposed. It hit 580,000 views in 4 days. The comments were wildfire. Bro, this Derek guy seems to have some serious issues. Can we talk about how the MOM seemed to push her son's fiancé into a very awkward situation with his brother? This is like a Netflix series waiting to happen. Caleb, whoever you are, you're a damn hero. They didn't know my name. Didn't need to. All they needed was the truth. And then something I never saw coming happened. My dad called me. Not a voicemail. Not a passive text. A real call. I hesitated, but I picked up. I left her, he said. Just like that. You what? I moved out. Signed the papers. Got my own place downtown. It's small. Quiet. I sat down, stunned. Why now? I asked. He paused. And when he spoke again, his voice cracked. Because for the first time in my life, I saw what courage looked like. And it didn't look like standing still. It looked like walking away. We talked for over an hour. Not about Mom. Not about Derek. Just life. He asked about work. About Claire. About what I planned to do next. When the call with my dad ended, I didn't feel heavy. I felt breath. Like I'd finally exhaled after holding it in for years. The next few weeks rolled by like quiet winds. Claire and I took weekend trips, Washington coast, wine country, tucked away cabins by the lake. She never asked about Jenna. But when I needed to talk, she listened. And when I didn't, she just sat beside me, legs tucked under her, sipping tea, nodding gently. I never wanted revenge. I told her one night while we stared into the fire. I think you wanted dignity, she said. And you took it back. That hit me harder than she probably knew. Then something I didn't expect happened. Jenna emailed me. No text. No call. Just a plain subject line. I need to say this. I stared at it for a while. Then I opened it. Caleb, I know I'm the last person you want to hear from, and maybe this is selfish, but I need to say what I never did before. I was weak. I let Lorraine get in my head. She told me you were just like your dad, that you'd always be absent, that Derek saw me and you didn't. But the truth is, you always saw me. You just didn't perform it. Derek was a firework. You were a lighthouse. And I chased the thing that flashed louder, not the one that kept me safe. I'm not asking for forgiveness. I'm not hoping for another shot. I just wanted you to know, I see now. I see everything. Thank you for loving me, even when I didn't deserve it. I hope you find someone who does. I read it once, then again, and then I deleted it. Because closure doesn't come in an email. Closure is the moment your heart starts beating steady again. About a month later, Derek filed for bankruptcy. It was public record. Official. His empire? Gone. Lorraine? She moved in with a friend outside the city. Last I heard, she was thinking about changing her name, trying to escape the trail of digital ash she left behind. And me? I moved too. New apartment overlooking the skyline. Tall windows. Clean walls. Blank canvas. Claire helped me set up my office. We painted in silence, taking breaks on the balcony. One evening, as the sun dipped behind the buildings, she looked at me and said, "You're not angry anymore." "No," I said. "Not angry. Just finished." 7 months passed, and all that wreckage in my rear view finally settled into dust. Derek never bounced back. His bankruptcy went through, and he ghosted off social media. The fitness guru was now working part-time at a beat-up gym 2 towns over, where no one cared about his abs or his past brand. Lorraine's house was sold. No clients. No spotlight. Just bitter Facebook posts and half-hearted attempts to restart a career no one trusted anymore. Jenna? She moved. Word was she ended up somewhere near Bend, Oregon, waitressing, laying low. Trying to rebuild, but even the people who knew her best said she looked different. Tired, someone said. Like someone carrying regret. But I wasn't watching them anymore. I was focused on the road ahead. My firm gave me a new project, overseeing a major development. The kind that required trust. Leadership. Trust I'd earned the hard way, through work, not words. Other firms made offers. But I stayed. Because for the first time in a long time, I had roots. And Claire stayed too. We didn't rush things. Didn't label it. We just let it be. Some nights, we cooked dinner. Some nights, we watched the city lights in silence. And for once, I wasn't waiting for the other shoe to drop. One evening, as we stood on the balcony watching the skyline shimmer, Claire asked, "If you could go back, undo all of it, would you?" I didn't even have to think. "No," I said, "because I never would have found this version of myself otherwise." She smiled. "The one who stands tall," she said. "The one who doesn't kneel for people who don't deserve it. The people who betrayed me thought I'd break. I didn't. I bent. I burned. And then I rebuilt stronger. Quieter." Dear listeners, if this story spoke to you, leave your thoughts down below. And don't forget to like, share, and subscribe.